हेलो एवरीवन, माय नेम इज श्याम मनावत एंड आई वेलकम ऑल ऑफ यू इन टुडेस पॉडकास्ट। आज करेंगे हम लोग बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट बातें। कुछ विल ट्राई टू फाइंड आउट सम इनसाइट्स, हाउ कैट एस्पिरेंट्स थिंक एंड हाउ द कैट टॉपर्स थिंक, आई शुड से, एंड हाउ एन आई एम एलुमनाई थिंक अबाउट their journey, entire journey. So we have our guest Astha with us, Astha Gupta. She is alumni of IIM Shillong, recently graduating from there, and she scored 96.96 percentile, almost 97 percentile. So, Asa, welcome to Wire
Thank
Careers podcast.
thank you so much.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
so and I really appreciate your agreement on being participating in this podcast or accepting our invitation.
It's
So,
my pleasure. I've always been a kind of person who likes to help out students, my peers, my juniors. So it's a great pleasure for me to come on this platform and inspire others if they could be inspired by my journey at least.
all right, okay. So currently, where are you, Asta? In which city are you?
I'm currently in my hometown, which is Delhi. I'll be going back for my convocation degree on 2nd of April for my degree collection and everything to Shillong.
Okay, okay, great. So you still have your convocation left, or that's over?
No, no. So I have my all academic commitments over. We're still left with the convocation ceremony, which is to be scheduled on 2nd of April. So that's how it is.
Right. Okay. So will you be taking your parents along with you, or
I'm
you
taking
you
my
want to keep your college secrets with yourself? Don't
no,
want to
no.
reveal to me.
I'm taking my parents along with
All
me. My
right.
parents and my younger brother, so they'll be accompanying me to Shillong to take my degree and take me home back. So that's how it is.
Okay. Asta, I've seen your profile on LinkedIn, and that's quite impressive. I've seen that you have done something from Excelara as well, and now you are an IIM alumni as well. So, how did everything start? You are from BCom honors background, right? And from BCom thinking for MBA. Usually, BCom students they go forward with CA as an option or CFA as an option. So, how did this MBA happen to you?
Got it. So while I was giving my 12th exam, I was also getting into the CA journey altogether. I looked for coachings. I also sat for one. I spent about a month or so doing my CA preparation and kickstarting that. However, what I felt that this is not something which is coming to me naturally. I'm forcing myself into this direction. So I opted out, thinking that I'll figure out something on the go in my 3 years of graduation. Uh, Initially, by the second year, COVID also hit by that time, and then we all were figuring out what's next, where we want to go, and how do we want to plan. And then slowly and gradually, as a Delhi University student, you get to be part of different societies and
Right.
clubs and communities.
Right.
For me, it happened to be 180 Degrees Consulting Society, which was a pro bono based consulting society, which consult
Mhm.
different NGOs and NPOs on pro bono basis.
Okay.
So I volunteered there, became a senior consultant. That's just a nomenclature that they used to offer as a part of a member of that club. And then while working there, I realized that management and working with teams, working for clients is something that I enjoy doing. So
Right.
maybe I think this is something that I can pursue down the line. And then
Okay.
consulting, when I spoke to my elder brother and my father, and spoke about consulting as a profession, they told me that this is something which is being very lucrative right now. They told me
Right.
what it is, how it is working, and then how your life becomes all together when you become a consultant. So that sounded very lucrative to me at a age of 2021. And then I sat for CAD that year as well, but then it didn't work out. And then I got a placement opportunity. I sat for that. I got into Accenture.
Nice.
Accent, it was a work study program. So it was a HR Academy program wherein you get to work as well as you get to study at Exceleri for their HR PG program. So that happened, and it was all moving in the direction that I want to do something into management field altogether down the line.
Right.
So whatever it was, I was just navigating myself through that. Um,
Mhm.
After spending 2 years and completing my PG degree with Exceleri, I sat for CAT again. Happened that I got into IIM Shillong, then I joined IIM Shillong, and then here I'm sitting. So that has been my journey as a whole. So
That's really encouraging and also make me curious to ask this question that usually people stop with one brand. Like you have got your alumni, maybe I'm sure you have alumni status of XLR as well, right? So after doing a PG certificate from XLRI, didn't you find that okay, that's enough? Like, let me go ahead with my profession, my career, my job, or consulting side, HR side, instead of jumping to a full-time MBA?
after spending 2 years at Accenture, I was looking for a switch, and surprisingly, I also gave CAT that year, and knowingly, unknowingly, it happened that I got a good percentile. I got into IIM Shillong. So it all happened not as a plan, but as a part of God's plan. Maybe I could say that. I was not aiming that I would go for a 2 years MBA right now. Maybe I'll go for executive MBA down the line or something along those lines. But then it happened that I got a good percentile, I got a good college, and then it all just happened and summed out to be a very good opportunity for me to get onto. So I hopped onto that opportunity and got into IMC now. So that was the whole idea.
That's right. But still, Asta, this is still a point which make me ask this question that okay, you got good percentile, but you also have to pay that hefty fees of IIM, right? So when you are already holding one a top B school alumni status, are spending again another 20, approximately 20 lakhs, I suppose, right? So that's also a decision. That's also a decision to make. So what made you take that decision that okay, I should because okay, everything happened correctly at right time, and we always pray, wish the best for you. That henceforth, I mean, in future also things should fall on right place to you. But still, after completing your or during your job, having an IIM call or maybe a good CAT percentile in hand, and then you have to also think about spending, paying the fees. So that's also a decision to make. So how was the calculation done?
Honestly, it was a tough one to make because you're not just spending money, you're also spending your 2 years, wherein otherwise you would have been working, getting a monthly pay. So all of that did come to a play, and it was a tough decision for me to make because, um, honestly speaking, my parents were not in favor of sending me to IIM Shillong particularly. They were like, if you have got a decent percentile, maybe give a full-fledged attempt and aim for a higher
Right,
B school next year.
right,
And then and then I mean, I just went up to the statistics for the IIM Shillong and the colleges
right.
of what colleges are offering and what are the placement reports and everything, and if this is really suiting my interest and everything, because at that point of time I was looking for a switch. I wanted to get into consulting anyhow. And
Right,
then when I read the reports about IIM Shillong, I got to know that they're doing pretty well into the consulting domain. So I
right,
thought that this might be a good call for me to go and get into the consulting domain as a whole. Talking about the ROI aspect, it was a tough one to make honestly, and
mhm.
still I feel that it requires huge courage to leave out your job and then go back to school, wherein you'll
Yes,
be relying on your parents' money or loan or
right,
something. So it's a tough
right.
call for a 24-year-old or 25-year to make that call and then make it happen. But then it takes a little courage and a little confidence in yourself to go for it, and it is all worth it in the end, I would say.
Okay. So yes, still a full-time MBA. Why a full-time MBA? Despite of holding one uh, a certificate with you, why a full-time MBA?
See, it all matters because the IM tag, the IM branding that you'll get on your CV will make you differentiate from the rest of the world. Why I already have a good tag for XLRI, but then it was all, a certificate degree, if
Right,
I have to call it.
right, right,
While
right,
a 2-year MB is a residential flagship program that IM runs, and then you're getting IM branding, you're getting 2 years
correct.
flagship course adding to your CV. So it'll all make it, a good profile for me. That was the thought process behind why I wanted to get into IIM Shillong and go for it.
Okay. Okay. So do you think that this residential program actually makes a difference in a personality of an individual or add a lot of value compared to say part-time or online uh, MBAs?
Surely it did. I mean, I still remember the year I joined, which was 2024. The first month, on an average, I used to grab only 1 or 2 hours of sleep per day, and
Oh,
rest of the entire day, entire night, used to sit, work on case projects, bond with friends, make connections who will help you down the line. So this is
right,
some element which you do not have in a part time or a online MBA. So all
right,
of these things do matter and it helps you grow in a lot of ways that you would not grow in a erstwhile situation, which is like a online MBA or a part-time MBA, if I would call it.
right,
And then with that, a lot of exposure which comes by being on a residential campus because you're surrounded by 400 ambitious people around you, and then somebody is doing
right,
XYZ, somebody is doing something else. So that the competition level and then the interactions, the conversations that you will have with people on ground on campus are very different
right,
from what you have virtually, maybe. So
correct.
IIM's residential or any residential MBA program is, no brainer in my opinion. So you should, if you have the opportunity, you should grab it because it's the one of the best opportunity as a 24 or 25-year-old, if I would have to call it.
Great. Okay. So you mean that there's a different charm. That's what I understood from you. You can correct me. There's a different charm of doing MBA full time on campus. And you correctly mentioned some points like being surrounded with almost 400 people who are as competitive as you are, or maybe a little bit more.
Correct, correct.
You never know. And you know, learning from them as well and making not just networks through which you just know each other, but you know a person like in and out so that tomorrow, if you need any help in your career, that friend of yours, the classmate of yours, or senior of yours will always be ready to help you. Right. So that makes a lot of difference. I agree. How was your day one? How was your day one at IIM Shillong? Like day one, when you're walking into the campus, beautiful, nice, big, huge campus, and going to face professors and your maybe say your roommates and classmates. You don't know with whom are you going to share room, with whom are you going to do some projects. So day one, share your experience of day one at of IIM Shillong.
It's very nostalgic to talk about it. So if I recall, when you step with your parents or with your company who are accompanying you
Right.
to campus, you walk with a lot of gratitude and a little trust in the god and everything that okay, I finally made it to this place. But
Right.
once you land there, you see that everybody else is also in the same boat. So you're competing, you're surrounded by 400 like-minded people who are coming from
Mhm.
a similar background, who've been into grilling phase throughout their life, have attempted XYZ exams, failed, rejoined, who are coming with, some of them are doctors, some of them have attempted UPSC for a million times, and they have switched their careers. So you will see different backgrounds, and then my day one, excitement just dropped because I saw that everybody is so accomplished in their own fields that who am I? I'm just so little in this big world. So day one, honestly, it was very intimidating because seeing all those people around me and realizing that you have not done anything in this world right now and you have to do a lot more. So that was the first feeling that hit me right there. The second
Okay.
was that okay, so I'm Shillong's campus is very beautiful. I mean, it's surrounded by
Mhm.
a lake, beautiful mountains, the serene green, ekdam, the beautiful, vibrant city, everything. So you
Right.
get that feeling that okay, you're finally spending 2 years in a very resort-like structure, and it's a
Okay.
vacation which is being sponsored by your family or a loan if you're taking whatever. So
Right.
that's how it is. I mean, you feel that okay, it's a luxury life that you're going to live, but slowly it's hit that it's not a luxury, it's all struggle that you right now. So yeah.
Right, right. Okay. Were you able to relate your day one, or do you relate your day one of I Am Shillong when you? I'm sure you must have watched the Three Idiots. So the day one of uh, the engineers going
Correct.
to, yeah. So a principal dean is addressing all the
Correct,
student, and
correct.
then
So, yeah, in the morning, our parents were there, and then the address by the dean and the directors, and everybody was there. And by the night, seniors came to us for the welcome and everything. And slowly, it started hitting because we all are walking in with a lot of confidence that we have accomplished this, we have accomplished that. But then
yeah.
once you get in, seniors make you realize that there's a lot to be done now in the next 2 years. So they give you a tight jolt about it because you get into that bloated zone because you feel like I've cracked an IM, everything I
Right,
can do right now. But then
right.
once you get into that field, seniors tell you how the post MBA world looks like. So that's how you get a flavor of that senior junior fight and then talks and
Mhm.
everything, which was very well depicted in 3 Idiots. So I was able to.
I relate with it. Okay, nice. All right. So Asta, you mentioned that you always wanted to be in the position of consultant or being in the role of consulting. So in today's world, there are a lot of options available for fresh students like you, youngsters like you. Maybe you can do some course from online platform or watch some YouTube videos and maybe say you can have your own startup as you already had some experience in Accenture, building skills or doing freelancing. So leaving all these options and then jumping to MBA. So why is that? Why how did this work?
So all of that did came to my mind because
Right.
I'm from a business family, and then once you say that the job is not working out, I'm not enjoying this job, the second option that comes to you as a rescue is that join your father's business, or
Right.
maybe expand or give another flavor to it. It did came
Right.
to me. However, I feel as a student who has just done her graduation, there is a lot of
Mm-hmm.
uh, depth that is required to join a business or to grow it more. So
Right.
and after spending 2 years at a MBA college, I realized that that depth will only come if you spend some time into the academia again as a postgraduate student. Because in the undergrad level, you're very naive. You're just straight out of school. You don't know how the real world works. While after spending some time in corporate, for me, I realized that okay, this is how corporate works. When I got into the MBA, I was able to relate the concepts of MBA to my work ex and then able to make a analogy. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
this was how it was there, and this is how I can cover up the situation, rescue from there. So a
Right.
lot of depth comes by studying again those concepts in a very matured age. I feel
Mm-hmm.
if you're, I mean, Astha of just straight out of college after
Yeah.
her graduation and Astha of today is very different. And if I have got the opportunity to maybe join a business right now of my father's, I would happily do that. But then
Okay.
Astha of that time was very underconfident, was not sure if taking this move is right or taking that move is right. But
Right.
after spending time at IIM Shillong, I feel I've got that depth of knowledge or maybe depth of experience that I can take a decision and it'll turn up to be a good decision. So that's
Okay. Great. So you mean the experience of IIM or a top B school makes the candidate a bit mature from all the angles to maybe working somewhere or uh, doing their own business. You understand all the aspects of business. You understand the mindset of uh, different type of field or people working from different type of field. As you mentioned that some of them were doctors in your batch, some of them were pharmacists in your batch, or coming from pharma background from your batch in your batch. So you that surround makes you mature enough to realize or to understand how uh, a doctor thinks about the problem, how a CA thinks about the problem, how an engineer thinks about this problem. So that maturity is required. So it's better to take such decision in early age, right? Not to wait for long. If you
After
had this option of going for IIM or having the good score in CAT right after your BCom, would you have would you pick up or would you have picked up this option or still would have gone for the experience?
Got it, got it. So after seeing how, freshers act, or, how freshers deal with situations at my campus, I feel going to a MBA college with some sort of experience would give you another, dimension to your knowledge, and another dimension, another layer to your knowledge. Because
Okay,
a lot of times what I see my friends at I'm Shillong who are coming straight out of college, they're not able to relate concepts when they're being taught. Or and if we don't talk about concepts, if we talk about learning that happens after classes, so
right,
in those situations, the freshers don't come out in a very confident manner, because they're too naive to think about those situations. I mean, I don't want to hurt that community, because there are a lot of people who do MBA right after their college, but then
right,
I feel that there is a the linkage is not proper. So you should first do a graduation, then have some sort of experience, and then go for an MBA, because that ways you will be able to bridge the missing gap that was there
right,
through MBA. Because otherwise you
right,
will never be able to, have that feeling, okay, maybe this is how corporate works. This is how you imagine yourself. And then when you go back to corporate, this you realize, okay, this was being taught to us. This is not how it
right,
is. So it's more about imagination, that you being, forced to think about situations. While if
right,
you're coming with an work you will be able
mhm,
to have a, real flavor of it. So
right,
if I have to talk about myself, I would definitely, I mean, I would have dropped the opportunity of going for an MBA as a fresher, because I was of the strong opinion that you should have some sort of experience and then go for an MBA.
okay, okay. Now, after completing this 2 years in a top B school, what do you think as fresher, or maybe even if having experience, but the kind of myth people have about MBA, or which you must have heard during your job or before joining the IIM?
So it's not a myth per se, but then a lot of people think that, after getting into it's a long saying, right? If you crack this,
Yeah.
your life will be sorted. If you crack that,
Right, right,
but the
right,
truth is your life will never be sorted. So I mean,
right.
even after getting into MBA, people think that, life would become very enriching, and then there'll be no
Mhm,
struggle, and this would not happen, that would not happen, the job market would be so sorted for you and everything. However,
right.
things are not like that for anybody in this world. uh, it MBA will do give you an edge, will give you an extra edge over the people who are coming straight out of college, or the experience.
Mhm,
But then it's ultimately who you are as a person, what qualities, what skills you carry. So,
mhm,
I mean, the notion that people have right now is that uh, get into an MBA college, a branded MBA college, and then you're sorted.
you're
However,
sorted.
people should think more from a standpoint that what do you want to make out of those 2 years, because those 2 years is going to stick to you for your next 20 years or down the line.
Mhm,
So you
mhm,
should be sure about what type of college or what type of branding you're trying to make for yourself, and be
right.
sure. Because
Mhm,
I mean, I do interact with students. I'm also working as a mentor for GDPI. So while
yeah.
interacting with students, I get this feeling that they just want to get into a branded B school just because it's branded and they'll have a tag.
Mhm,
It doesn't
mhm,
matter if that college has a, specialization in HR, operations, or XYZ, and that student
right.
wants to get into similar field or not. They just want to get branded because that's
Right.
how it is, because they'll get branded and then everything would be sorted.
Yeah.
However, it is not the case, because, for example, I get into a top B school of HR domain, but I'm not
Right.
into HR domain as a career. So that two
Mhm,
years would fail for me. So what Gen Zs and the alphas don't understand right now is that it is something which is going to stick to you for the next 20, 30 years. So you should be
Right,
sure
right.
what kind of choice you're making right now.
Yes, yes.
So that is
I
my
do agree. That reminds me of an incident. I was having conversations with one of the student, Gen Z, and she was doing BBA or bachelor's, BBA specifically. But let me again not hurt that community. But business studies in bachelor's, and she has been given an impression by seniors or batchmates. She has been given that impression by seniors and batchmates that they no need to do MBA. What you have done here in BBA, that is enough, because you will be taught the same subjects in masters as well. So what do you think? Like, you must be having some students from, or your batchmates from the business studies background as well. So what's your opinion on that?
That is a fair opinion. I mean, a lot of subjects are repetitive, but then they're not in depth. So, what you will be taught, let's take a subject, maybe in accounts, what you're being taught is very at a surface level. When while you get into an MBA, you get into the in depth of it. So, if you talk about finance as a course, you would be just taught about the accounting and everything. However, if you get into an MBA, you will be taught about the financial markets and how it all works, how does balance sheet affect and everything. Why it is all being taught uh, in a BBA setup as well, but it is done at a very superficial level.
Okay.
The in-depth accuracy, the practicality of those concepts come via an MBA is what I have felt over the years as a
All
under
right.
PG student.
Agreed. Right. Now let's come to your uh, early stage of CAT preparation. So, for how long did you prepare for CAT?
So I gave two attempts for CAT. One was
Okay.
right after my graduation. So within the graduations last year.
Mhm.
That year it didn't happen for me. It was also a COVID year, so things were a lot of hayway for me, and I was figuring out what to do, what not to do. Uh,
Mhm.
I got a placement opportunity. That's another story, but then that didn't happen.
Mhm.
The next attempt happened 2 years after. So when I was working with Accenture for 2 years. So that was
Mhm.
the year I sat for CAT. That year, I enrolled myself into a coaching. So my coaching was very flexible. They used to have classes post working hours and everything. So it was easy for me to adapt to that teaching methodology and have classes and everything. So as to study, attend regular classes and everything, and then spend more hours on my weekends. So that was my pretty much my CAT prep. And then
Mhm.
closer to the CAT exam as a whole, I gave mocks and everything to have a better clarity of how exam actually is and how I am able to put my concepts that I've learned so far
Right.
onto the
Okay.
paper. That was my journey.
Okay. Okay. So, if we look at the um, time period you have spent in the second attempt for your preparation, six. How much was it? Like 6 months, 8 months, 1 year,
It was about 9 months, I would say.
nine
So
months time. Okay.
I had a 9 months preparation plan. Um, I spent around 3 to 2.5 months only for mocks and sectional tests and
Right.
doing, you know pra- if I'm able to put use my concept, because as a working professional you get a very into a zone that I just know Excel, I just know PPT, you get lost with touch of concepts and everything.
Right.
It's
Right.
hard to get back to studies, read essays and VRC sessions and everything. It was a bit
Right.
hard initially, but then you have to force yourself a bit so that you get into that rigor again. So that was how it is for me.
So, was it like first understanding the difficulty level of the exam, or you jumped onto mocks directly, or you did your foundation or concept strong in a couple of months and then you jumped on mock?
Got it. So, if I have to talk about the exam level and difficulty levels, I was pretty much aware because of my first attempt, how the exam
Right.
works. And
Right.
this attempt was more about building my concepts and putting that to use. So, my initial 4-5 months was just about completing the concepts for QA and then
All
LRD and
right.
everything.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
after I've learned all the concepts and everything, then I kickstarted with my mock journey and section journey.
Okay. So when was, if you remember, I know it's been almost 2 years now, or I think more than that, uh, 2.5, 3 years. So after how many chapters done or syllabus covered, you got the confidence of attempting your first mock?
So, if you see, CAT is an exam. It's not an exam where you have to attempt full paper. It's about paying out
Right.
questions and solving it in right time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, I figured out that this is my strong point. This is a section that I can, if a question comes, I'll do it with my 100% accuracy.
Right.
I remember by August end and September first week, I
Mm-hmm.
I had pretty much completed most of my syllabus, my concepts, and I was sure that this is my strong point. This is not my strong point. This is my weak point. I had figured out, segregated concepts in QA in LRDI that if a section comes from this section, I'll be able to solve it. I'll not be able to
Mm-hmm.
solve it. So accordingly, I
Mm-hmm.
used to attempt my sectional test. So I kickstarted my mock journey by attempting sectional tests. So I used to have each day, because since I was also working, I used to not have a lot of time to give to my
Mm-hmm.
preparation and everything. So each day I used to sit for either QA or LRDI sectional test and then figure out if I'm able to solve that set or not.
Right.
So, for example, if something is coming from maybe tournaments and the games theory and everything,
Right.
and
Right.
I solve it, I used to go back and then redo my, worksheets and preparations again, go
Mm-hmm.
back to the
Mm-hmm.
concept, learn them again, and then try to figure out where I'm going wrong first, and then reattempting those sets again so that I know how it is, solving an exam. So that was my bit.
All right. Okay. So when you were studying that time, how much time you used to spend in classes learning by teachers, and how much time you used to spend on self studies? How much time you used to spend on self studies?
Got it. So, on an average, my classes used to be of around 2 to 2.5 hours every day. And then, which used to happen late at night. So, from 10 p.m. till 12:30, 12. That's how the
Right.
class last. And
Mm-hmm.
then and then I used to sleep right after my classes. Then I used to wake up around before my work, so around 7, 6, depending upon my routine and everything. And then I used to spend morning 2 to 3 hours, depending upon my schedule for the day, on self practice. So, whatever worksheets that we have discussed, whatever questions that were being given as part of that class, I used to solve
Mm-hmm.
it in the morning of the next day so that I have the clarity and the practice alive.
Right.
And that is how I used to plan the course of prep.
Right. So, do you mean that you used to have classes every day?
I used to have classes every day. Uh,
Okay.
for 9 months, if I have to call it. And then on weekends, we used to have long sessions. So the sessions used to start somewhere around 11 a.m. in the morning, and they used to go up till 5 p.m., 6 p.m. So we used to have a long session on Saturday, Sundays.
All right. Okay. Great. Okay. So, most of the time used to most of the time you used to spend in the classes compared to self study. Is
Correct.
that, yeah? Okay. Great. Okay. Fine. So that was your routine that you used to start, you used to complete your concepts classes, or maybe it's the practice classes in the evening, and then you used to study by your own in the morning time. All right. Uh, uh, do you remember any point when you felt a lot encouraged during the CAT preparation?
I mean, during months of October and November, you feel a little lost because firstly there's a lot going in terms of festivities. That those typical months are the typical Hindu festival months, if I were to
Right.
call.
Right. Right.
And when I was working, those were also the heavy months as a business cycle for me. So
Mm-hmm.
I think October last, November first week, I was lost as hell because I was not able to focus on my work, manage my family, friends, and my
Mm-hmm.
cat prep simultaneously. But then
Right.
I remember I took a 1 week leave during that November second week to get back to my cat preparation because I felt that I'm losing track on things because all that hard work that I've put in up till here felt like
Uh-huh.
that it's not coming in shape if I'm not devoting time right now because that by that time it's already hitting because cat is just right corner and then you have to
Right. Right.
I mean the coaching curriculums and the coaching news is about what kind of percentile you're getting in mocks, how your scores and everything. So you
Right.
kind of get intimidated with all those talks with all your peers being discussing that my score is this, my score is dropping, and then I'm not getting good percentile XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of
Mm-hmm.
get intimidated by November second week and everything. But then I took one
Oh,
week to figure it out all and then put it all in shape, and that helped me a lot to figure out how my preparation is going and then figure out that this is my weak point. I have to spend time more here and then
mm-hmm.
less time here, give more marks and then analyze more marks. So that was all.
Right. Right. Okay. So in October time when it's actually a time to spend with family, you have to give time to your exam preparation as well as you are managing with your job. So that was a tough time, right? Okay. So was it easy to manage CAT preparation with your job?
um I won't call it difficult in my opinion. You just have to make certain kind of sacrifices is what I feel, and you will be easily able to manage your CAD prep alongside your job. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
when I say sacrifices, it's more about not having a weekend plan, not having a movie plan on the weekends,
Right.
sacrificing your sleep a bit so that you're able to complete your worksheets and everything. But it's not
Correct.
at all difficult, not at all tough. If I can do it with pretty much doing my job, getting
No.
good recognition at job, completing all my tasks at my job alongside prepping. So I think anybody can do that alongside. So it's not
You're
that
being very
difficult.
generous. You're being very generous.
It's not
Okay.
like that. I mean, it's just about having that mindset. If you're clear that you
Right.
want, get into a B school this year, you have to be serious about things. And it's just about
Correct.
being serious. So if you're able to
Mm-hmm.
manage your time, your schedule accordingly and make some sacrifices for 6, 7, 8 months, you will be having it sorted.
Mm-hmm. And once you are done with CAT, once you score well in CAT, then life is sorted, right?
It's a 2 years vacation. It's a 2 years vacation time, and then life is again going
Right.
ahead.
So at the time, we should just think about the next milestone instead of
Correct,
just
correct.
keep thinking about a bigger goal. Just keep thinking about the next milestone. If we
That's
achieve
how
this
we
much,
thought in India, right? पहले 10th कर
right,
लो, फिर 12th कर लो, फिर
right,
graduation कर लेना, फिर job कर लेना.
correct, correct, right. What do you think that what are the mistakes which CAT aspirants should avoid during their preparation time with your experience?
I feel some of my months were too much, into preparation. So, for example, if I say the months that I kickstarted my prep, initial few months were fully devoted. I used to be on time, complete all my assignments and everything. But then slowly you lose track, and then you become busy with XYZ work, and then
Right,
cat prep takes a back seat. But then
right,
this is something that a person should avoid because you lose track of things and then it takes a another 2 weeks to get back to that track again
mm-hmm,
and start
mm-hmm,
building your preparation, start attempting making that curriculum, making that routine again. So
right,
I think I mean having a routine and being fixated to that for your entire course of journey would help you get a good percentile in my opinion because that is a game of consistency. If you lose
mm-hmm,
concepts, in just span of 2 weeks, you would lost a lot of time, concepts, and everything, and then you have to rebuild it again. So
right,
consistency, which you should be at.
right. So even you give a small time, maybe say half an hour or 45 minutes, but be consistent.
Correct. Yeah. Spend every
Do
day.
something instead of
Yeah, exactly.
being having 0 day.
Correct. So if you think that it's not working for you today, maybe just pick up a BRC sectional and attempt it, because you would not have to put a lot of brain calculation and everything into that. But then
Mhm.
I'm like smallest thing every day, in my opinion.
Right. What matters more in the preparation, and what matters more in CAT preparation? The number of questions you solve or clarity of concept?
Clarity of concepts, because if you have the clarity of concepts, your accuracy would be high. And then if your
Yeah.
accuracy is high, you would get a good percentile, because CAT is
Right.
not a exam wherein you have to attempt your pura exam. It's just
All
being
the exam. Right.
and
True.
get them right in right time. That's it.
True. Absolutely right.
I've seen a couple of my friends at MBA who have cracked the exam in a way that they've cracked the pattern, that this is the section that you have to spend time. These are the questions
Mhm.
that are usually there in a CAT exam year on year
Right.
in QA
Right.
section. So be very
Mhm.
thorough with these concepts and you'll be good to go. And I
Mhm.
mean, some of my friends have attempted CAT after coming to an MBA, and then with zero prep, they've got up to like 99 percentile. So it's
Oh,
just figuring out the CAT exams pattern, and then if you have cracked the pattern that these are the concepts that usually come in exam, you will be able to get to a good percentile, decent percentile.
okay. Okay. Yeah, that reminds me, many students ask for shortcuts like, sir, teach shortcut in this chapter, or how can we solve this question with shortcut? So what is your experience, opinion on the shortcuts compared to focusing more on the foundation, making the concept stronger?
I think shortcut is something that you develop as a person with time. So it's not
Hmm.
something that you can teach me that Asta learn this shortcut and you will be able to solve XYZ question in the exam.
Agree.
Something
Agree.
that I should come on my own while practicing. That if I'm
Right.
solving a question, it's taking 4 minutes. And then I figured out, okay, if I'm using this method, I'll be able to solve it in maybe 2 minutes. So that
Right.
is my own that I've developed over time. And if I'm
Mhm.
developing that over time, will help me longer go. However, if
Correct.
translating from you to me, it won't go for a longer go, because then if there's a mixed match in question, your mind won't
Correct.
fit, because you will
Correct.
not be able to relate concept in that manner.
Right. Right. I
Having
agree.
conceptual knowledge first and then building shortcuts over it would help you go and be a longer player in the game,
Right. Right.
rather than just murring up the shortcuts and then trying to attempt.
Yeah. Build your own shortcut, you mean?
Correct.
Right. Even though when student ask me that, ask me about the shortcuts, you are not teaching question fit shortcuts. I tell them that, the teachers that, including me, the teachers who talk about shortcuts, they are able to solve this question with shortcut because they are solving, or they are teaching this question for years. Like for me, it's been more than a decade. It's been more than 15 years I'm teaching CAT exams, so CAT aspirants. So um, I can look at the question and quickly recollect. But for a student who just need to prepare for 1 year or in 9 months, it's not necessary that you focus on the shortcut. They should focus more on the concept building. Yeah, right.
And CAT in exam is not about time per se. You just have to solve 10 to 12 questions in that, hour.
Perfection. Right.
So it's just about cracking them right rather than completing them.
Correct. Absolutely. And shortcut many times it's very subjective. That this shortcut will work if
Certain
condition number A, B, C, D, E, F met. If
that
even if one condition is not met, this shortcut is not applicable. So yes, so building up concept, I totally agree with you, is more important. If you have to give it a restart, say you go back in those time when you you want to start your CAT preparation, will you do it in the same way you have done, or you will make some changes to get some better results?
um I would not do it same way, because honestly my CAT prep was in a graph, it was very high, low, high, low, high, low. Sometimes I used to peak hours, and then one day I used to not pick up anything, and then again used to rebuild. So my
Right.
preparation patterns were not consistent at all. Um, and then if I have to do something again, I mean, in a better way, I think
Mm-hmm.
I might. I mean, I've seen my friends who've left their job and then devoted couple of months in the last phase of your
Mm-hmm.
preparation fully. I think I might. I if I have to go back, I can take that call and then leave my job to
Okay.
once try and then fully devote myself into preparation.
All right. Great. Okay. Fine. So that it was more of the preparation point of view. Uh, Now let's talk about your journey, your experience in IIM campus. How intense was the studies in IIM?
Um, so it's more about managing time and your efforts for everything. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people say that your life at IIM is very hectic is because you're juggling million things in a span of time. So you like everybody, you just have 24 hours and you have to manage everything in that 24 hours, right from your
Right.
academia,
Mm-hmm.
your case competitions, your preparation for SIP finals, and then there are
Mm-hmm.
million other activities going like club and committees and everything.
Right.
So it's more about a game of management
Mm-hmm.
than saying that the academia is too hectic or
Right.
academia is too. In my opinion, it's not very hectic, it's not very tough. It's just a game of managing things by
Right.
managing everything, pleasing everybody. So you're making sure that your professor is satisfied, you're making sure your teammates are satisfied, you're making
Right.
sure that subcommittee members are satisfied with your work.
Right. Correct. Correct. So it's that's what students do in the institute, the top institute. They're managing things. So first thing you need to manage is your time, right? Correct. Okay. Do you find any of your batchmates struggling after getting into IIM? Like, did you find any pattern of students or any pattern of candidates who struggle after getting into IIM, like during those 2 years,
Struggle in what kind? I mean,
with the studies, or maybe not able to manage with time, or not able to cope up with the subjects, or complete the assignment? Any pattern you found that the kind of students who struggle during those 2 years?
so generally at IIM, we've been grouped into similar, diverse study groups. So
Right.
we of six put into a study group, and then we have to figure out all our assignments, group assignments together. And
Right.
then they're very different. So in my study group, there was a RBI clerk officer, and then there was a CA, there was a mathematics honors student, everybody from
Right.
very diverse background. And then
Uh-huh.
you figure out how each personality is complementing other, and then how each
Right.
of you are contributing to every project. So a lot of time, if finance is not a very comfort subject for me, somebody like the CA or the CFA used to take a front seat into that project, and then if something
Right.
is from a maybe management consulting HR standpoint, and then I used to take a front seat. So it's
Mm-hmm.
more about how you're managing, mix matching your skills and trade to figure out your assignment and then coming up with a solution. So that was that. With the kind of struggle personalities, if I have to talk about,
Mm-hmm.
so uh, MBA as a course is very famous for party culture. So a lot of people
Right.
get into that party mode right from their first year, and then it's very
Right.
difficult for you to quit out of that zone if you want to get
Mm-hmm.
into academia or into the case competitions or
Right.
the academic side of MBA altogether.
Correct.
So people who are more party freaks, it becomes a little difficult for them to manage things up.
Right. Right.
Uh, then as MBA students, you've been taught to manage things. They also find their way out, but then
Right.
it becomes a little difficult for them,
So
honestly.
you mean to say that people who are not able to switch quickly from one mode to another mode, party
Correct.
mode to the study modes, to say group studies, or maybe say presentation, or sit in the isolation and complete your presentation, what you need to participate in the team. people who are not able to switch quickly between these modes or
Correct.
don't have the ability to switch quickly, they struggle.
Correct.
Got it.
That people
Great.
are also a little introverted, I would say. So if you're not able to express what you're feeling, if you're busy, you have some commitments, or you don't have
Right.
income, you can take this up.
Right.
I feel people with those traits also struggle. So you have to come out of your zone and then express yourself that you
Mhm.
can do this, you cannot do this. Uh,
Right.
if you're able to do that, things would be much easier for you to, in next 2 years at IMBA.
Mhm. Right. Right. Asta, what, in your opinion, makes one 95 percentile or plus student different from the rest of them?
Um, a lot of people would disagree, but then for me, how I see CAT exam is just a matter of that exam duration. So if you're able to crack two more questions more, then you will be landing up in that 99 wala bucket altogether. If you're not able
Right.
to crack that, you will be sitting in that 97 wala zone, and two less
Right.
you'll be sitting in that 95 wala zone. What makes them different is uh, you know, your temperament, your attitude on the day
Mhm.
of exam. If you're panicking, so I remember my first attempt.
Mhm.
I panicked as hell. So I had a morning slot. I'm a night person. The slot didn't work out for me. My mind froze, and I was not able to attempt my
Mhm.
second section, which was LRDI, and I froze right.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, and it was not that I had not prepared or I was not ready for this exam. Everything was on point. It's just that it didn't happen that year because I was not in the
Mhm.
right mental zone.
Mhm.
What happened in my actual attempt, that I gave up with a very light-minded attitude that whatever happens, happens for good. I'll just go and sit for
Right.
it. And if this happens, well and good. If doesn't, I'll sit again. Life is
Yeah.
cute. You figure out something else. So sometimes you
Mhm.
take exam as your ending point and make it at a
Mhm.
gunshot that if this is not
Yeah.
working, my life would end.
Yes.
But
Yes.
then
Yes.
more than that, and if you're in
Mhm.
that zone, you are bound to fail. I mean, you would stick to that 90 wala bucket, and then the world would crash for you. Give
Right.
up all yours in a way that if this happens, happens for good. If doesn't, it'll
Mhm.
figure out something. Life is too huge for us to figure out.
Right.
So if you're going on with that, mindset, you would land into that 19.7, 99 wala bucket for sure. If I have to
Mhm.
talk about from the preparation standpoint, uh, I mean, couple of my friends who did not attempt for mocks, did not analyze them properly, struggled a lot with their CAT percentiles. So
Right.
mocks and your analysis for mocks is the corest
Very
part
important.
of your MBA journey. So
Understood.
my friends, I remember from my graduation days, some of them had good preparation of concepts and everything. However, they were too lenient with mocks and everything, and they ended
Right.
up not getting a good percentile. However, there were a
Mhm.
couple of them who had just attempted mocks, did not prepare well for the concepts and everything. They were able to have a better percentile. So that
Okay.
has been my observation over the years. So mocks and analysis of mocks is the paramount activity.
Is very important. Right. Which was which was the toughest section for you in CAT?
QA. So I am from
QA.
commerce background.
Commerce.
I have a hard hand at math, so I was very dreaded with QA.
Okay.
But then
Okay.
with the passing time, I was able to get some fear out of it. And then to anybody who's
Nice.
listening this, I mean, once you get into MBA college, a lot of your
Mhm.
concepts, a lot of your subjects would be around operations, your finance, which would involve a lot
Mhm.
of your, quantitative aptitude aspects and
Right.
concepts.
Right.
Be thorough with that, otherwise you're going to struggle in your MBA again. So yeah,
Oh, so it's not only for cracking CAT exam, but also it is must to have skill, knowledge when you are in your MBA.
correct, correct.
Right. So, which company finally you got into? What about your placement? Which company have you got into?
Yeah. So I've got into EY as a business consultant. My work would revolve around strategizing different GCCs, which is
Right.
Global Capability Center. So they're offering
Okay.
GCC as a service, wherein I'll be
Mhm.
handling GCCs from very scratch, building them up as a new capability in
All
XYZ
right.
in and around India. So yeah.
All right. Okay. Fine. So, Asta, during your placement season in IIM, how is the process all about? How does it work?
All right. So in your first year, you will be sitting up for your summer internship,
Okay.
placement opportunity, which is SIP program. So
All right.
right after your first year completes, you will be spending 2 months in industry and gaining experience so that you're able to relate whatever you've learned so far in MBA, and then you're able to relate your second year's concept. So
Right.
that's how the curriculum is planned. So
Mm-hmm.
for your summer internship, the placements, the program usually kickstarts around August and September, right after you get into an MBA, and then
Right.
once you get into the college, you start building up your CV, get different iterations, build up different
Mm-hmm.
versions for different companies, domains, and everything.
Right. Right.
And then companies start visiting, depending upon whichever college you are, you would have days planned, day zero, day one, or you would have the
Mm-hmm.
rolling process. So
Right.
whichever domain you are preferring for, you will sit for those basis the shortlist that you will receive
Mm-hmm.
from those companies. So for say if you are into finance and then you would
Right.
apply for a finance company, they would screen your CV or would have a
Mm-hmm.
base assessment, and then basis that screening, they would give you a shortlist or give you not a shortlist. So once you get a
Okay.
shortlist, you would then be sitting for your interviews. If you're not being
Mm-hmm.
shortlisted, you would be out of the process for that company. So
Okay.
that's much the process at any IIM or any B school per se. Then the processes go one after the other. So in a day there are 5 to 4 companies lined up for that
Okay.
day, and you'll be
Mm-hmm.
sitting up for one company being rejected, and then you have to pick yourself up, sit up for the next company,
Okay.
and
Mm-hmm.
prepare yourself again. So that how it is. And then I mean it's a very stressful process because it's a very ongoing process of repetitive rejections and then failures, and then you have to pick yourself again, prepare again, and then go up with a very jolly mode that okay, this is my dream company again. So how things are at any B school for summer
Right.
intern. And then
Right.
the similar process happens for finals as well. So
Fine. Mm-hmm.
for suppose if you are satisfied and if the company is satisfied with your performance and everything, they offer you a PPO, which is called pre-placement opportunity. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're coming back to campus in second year with a PPO, your life is pretty much sorted because you don't have to
Mm-hmm.
sit for your placements again. But then
Mm-hmm.
if you are not satisfied or PPO didn't happen for you for XYZ reasons, you will be sitting up for the placements again. And then it's again the process of multiple rejections, sitting up again,
Mm-hmm.
rising up again, so again that.
Oh, great. So that's so it required a lot of courage and self-control when you have 4 or 5 interviews in a day. Keep up your mood up, and even if you have any bad beginning of the day,
I mean,
maybe.
it, honestly, there were days for me that didn't work out for me, and then I was too emotional, and then I used to
Mhm,
go up to my room and just sleep. And then
mhm,
in the mind, back in my mind, there used to be a thought that you have to be prepared for the next day because there are 3 companies lined up again. So that's
right.
how it is. You have to be prepared every day despite what has happened yesterday.
Mhm,
So be sure, be very confident, and have that trust in yourself that thing would work out for you, because what you see at campus is that it didn't happen for you, but it happened for your friend, and then it makes you feel more bad because what's wrong,
right.
where
True.
am
Yeah.
I going wrong, and all of that introspection questions happen for yourself because you're in a lot of self doubt that what did go wrong.
Right. Right.
So, I mean, you should have a lot of, self confidence and trust in yourself that things would go right in the direction that you want to get into. Because in a B school,
Right.
if the companies, for example, if I'm not into finance, but then the first company is lined up for finance, I would have that mindset that, let's just sit for this company and then let's just get placed today. Because once
Okay.
early you place, the, more time you will have to relax, enjoy in your MBA.
Right. Right. Yes,
That's
yes,
the biggest burden you're taking on your shoulders to, you know, have a good placement by the end of 2 years, because that's whole as a concept of MBA.
correct, correct, correct.
Then there
True.
are a lot of things that work for you. There are a lot of things that don't work for you, but all
Right,
you can say is stay calm, stay composed, and have confidence in yourself, and things
right.
will go well.
Agreed. Agreed. Okay. That's good. I mean, it is quite encouraging words, quite kind words you have used. And I'm sure the audience watching this podcast will learn a lot. If not everything, but at least pick up what works for them, what situation they are into, and continue their preparation, their journey, the goal which they want to achieve. So, Asa, last two questions. One word for cat
Consistency.
and one word for I am Shillong.
Best 2 years of my life. Not one word,
Oh.
but
Okay, no, I think that's memories.
yeah, best.
Right. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Asa, to come on our invite and be part of this Wire Careers podcast. I hope answering this question might have given the nostalgic feeling or not you put into you might have put yourself into nostalgia uh, preparing for cat exam and the 2 years memories of I am Shillong. And me as a teacher, even I'm taking a lot from this podcast, which I'll be using while I'm teaching to my students. So thank you so much once again. Uh, yeah,
Thank
that's
you
it.
for having me. And then clearly, this conversation went me back to my early days of graduation, when I was sitting for my first preparation, like first time attempting CAT, and then my second attempt, and then having my 2 years at IIM Shillong. So this conversation summed up my entire journey as a whole up till here, and I love talking about my journey. And I hope people listening this would, you know, get something out of it. If not, just listen in for your, you know, entertainment maybe,
Right,
per se.
right, right. Right. All right, Astha. Thank you so much. Thank you so much once again. All right, guys. So that was Astha Gupta from IIM Shillong, a 96 plus percentiler. I hope you have learned something from this podcast. Important things which can help you preparing or making your exam preparation journey better. What I'm carrying from this podcast is being consistent. Yes, if you want to win over the difficulties, being consistent and discipline is the key. If you're serious about your CAT exam preparation or have not started yet or feeling stuck somewhere in your preparation, then you can join our course on our website wirecareers.com. We got a structured self-preparation courses just for 1,500 rupees per module. Plus, you will get one-on-one doubt solving and mentorship throughout your CAT preparation journey. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch more such valuable CAT preparation content. Once again, my name is Shyam Manawat. I will see you in the next video. Till then, stay happy, stay healthy, and keep learning. Bye bye.